Good morning, Franco's family. How are you this morning? It is so good to see you virtually, and welcome to yoga this morning. My name is Aileen, and I'm just so glad to be here with you today and to just stretch a little bit and just relieve a little bit of maybe stress that you may be having. So today what we're going to be working on is opening up in the hips as well as releasing in the shoulders. I'm thinking maybe like me, you've been in front of that computer sitting a lot and so creating a lot of tightness across the hips and so also releasing maybe hunched over that desk like I have, so really releasing and opening up in our heart and our shoulders. You will need 3 things today. A mat. If you don't have a mat, a nice thick towel will be fine. A block. If you don't have a block, maybe you can grab a pillow or a book or something just to give you a little bit of stability. And last thing will be a strap. If you don't have a strap, a belt will be fine, maybe a long scarf or a towel. So you'll definitely need these, especially at the end when we're addressing our shoulders. So I'll give you just a few minutes just to go grab those items if you don't already have them, and just again thanking you for joining in this morning, and hopefully at the end of class you will feel a big difference in your hips. And so as you're getting yourself together, we're going to start in Sukhasana, a comfortable seated position. And so that we can be all on the same page, I'm going to ask that your left shin be in front. So your left foot will be in front. As you're moving the flesh aside so that your hips are nicely balanced on the mat. And the other thing is I like to bring alignment back if possible. We have a tendency of just in our postures and all the things we do throughout the day to create imbalances in our body. So we're sitting here in Sukhasana, and you're closing your eyes, your palms are facing up, and you're just taking deep breaths, starting to relax in your mind. You're here, we made it, and begin just breathe. And as you're breathing deeper, you're inhaling. Your inhalations are going to just be deeper, and your exhalations are going to be even longer. So really focusing on your breath right now. We have a tendency of breathing just really shallowly, and with all of what's been going on, maybe a little anxiety or a lot. So breathe. As you're feeling that energy from your hips, just kind of move through your abdomen into your rib cage. Going to help to start up in your lengthen your spine. And if you could just envision that your shoulders are stacked right underneath your ears. So there's a little small space in your shoulder blades. You're not really squeezing your shoulder blades, but you're just really bringing your shoulder blades down your back. You should feel a little bit longer in your spine, and you micro-tuck in your chin just a little bit to lengthen the cervical spine. And again, I encourage you to have your eyes closed. You should feel light. If I was to come and remove the mat from underneath you, you would still be there strong, although you are on this mat. And breathe. On an exhalation, lower your chin into your chest, warming up the back of the spine, the cervical spine. And breathe in. It's on your exhalation that your body will allow you to go deeper. And to avoid any injuries, we don't want to push, we don't want to overdo it. We just want to let the body take you there. And on the next exhalation, I want you to bring your chin over to your left shoulder, getting into a nice lateral neck stretch. And once again, let your body take you there. You're making adjustments with your chin, whatever, really find that sweet spot as we're releasing the right side of your neck. And breathe. Remember, your breathing is, your exhalation is what's taking you deeper. Release Your right hand next to your hip, and you're going to walk your fingers away from you. Go into a little deeper stretch. I love to offer modifications, so be where you are. Listen to your body. You never want to push to the point of pain or injury. You're releasing the neck, perhaps in that collarbone area. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bind that arm behind your waist as we're opening up in that shoulder. And again, I'm offering you modification. You take what works for you today. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, take that left hand and place it on your head. And all we're doing is placing it. The weight of your hand is enough. We're not pressing down. And again, just subtle modifications of what feels good, a nice deep stretch. And breathe. You're still sitting up tall. And we're releasing in the hip flexor. Release, relaxing your hips. And unwind your hand, placing your hands back onto your knees, closing your eyes again as you inhale. Exhale your chin to your chest. Once again, breathe in, sitting up tall. And on the next exhalation, bring your chin over to the right shoulder. And you'll find some discrepancies here. One side might be tighter than the other, and maybe how you sleep. And you're breathing. Releasing that left hand next to you, walking your fingers away to deepen that stretch. If you wish, you can stay with your palms on your knee and breathe. I'm going to tell you to breathe a lot in this class. We have a tendency of holding our breath. And breathing is essential to yoga. You want to go a little bit deeper, bind that arm behind your waist, opening up in that shoulder, sitting up tall. And if you wish to go even deeper, place that right hand on your head. And just the weight of your head again is enough. I encourage you to do these stretches every day if you can. Release that tension in your shoulders and your neck as you release. I'm going to be facing in this direction as we get into our table position. So ideally your hips are stacked underneath your knees and your shoulders are stacked above your wrist. As you inhale, you're going to lower that belly to the mat into cow posture. As you exhale, round your back like an angry cat. Exhaling. Inhale. Lower your belly to the mat. Exhale. Round, round, round. Really rounding your back. Letting your head hang. Inhale again. Lowering the belly to the back. And then exhale. Rounding your back. And this time, staying in that rounded back, walk your hands over to the right side of your mat for a lateral stretch. And breathe. Maybe that left hip wants to shift. Try to keep it in line with that knee. And breathe. If this is not enough, you can actually now shift your hips to the left. That'll take you a little bit deeper. And breathe. Coming back. Inhaling back to center. Table posture. Reestablish your foundation as you inhale, lowering your belly to the mat. To cow pose. Exhale, rounding your back. Cat. Inhale, again, lowering your belly to the mat. And then exhale, rounding your back as you walk your hands over to the left side of your mat. And really just getting a nice stretch along the right side, lower back, side, top of the glute possibly, and breathe. Remember, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can shift your hips over to the right a little bit. Loosening up our lower back, top of the glutes, to prepare for our hip opener today. Inhale, back to center, and come into child pose. Child pose is a great posture to come to at any time you need a break, so I encourage you to take it if you need it. At this point, our knees are together or facing forward, they're not open, and your arms are extended. Really walking your fingers away from you, releasing under the underarm, perhaps even your lats, and breathe. Avoiding allowing your head to hang, so use the muscles of your neck, or you can always use your block and place your forehead. Come onto your fingertips. You might feel a deeper stretch, and really press against. Use your finger to bring your hips closer to your heels. If child pose is difficult, you can always place your block behind your thighs, or you can put a towel there and breathe. Two more breaths. Really drawing those shoulder blades down your back a little bit. As you release, coming onto table, and now I'm going to face you. And we're going to be on our knees. So if you need to pat up your knees at this point, do so. And so here we are. As you extend your right leg to the side of you, notice that my left hip is stacked above my knee, needing alignment at this point. As you inhale, your left arm up, and then your right arm can just gently stay along with your leg. Reach, 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 and you're going to exhale over to the right. Inhale, exhale again over. Inhale, and exhale over. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Really getting into that left side. Really drawing that shoulder back and breathing. Whatever's comfortable with your neck, you can either gaze up, forward, or down, whatever works best for you today. And breathe. Engage in your core. Will give you more stability. Inhale up and release. Your toes now are facing knee. Your toes, your right toes, if you can try to get them in line with your knee. You might notice a nice little stretch on the outer part of the ankle at this point. And you might just be right here as we're stretching that inner thigh. Perhaps you need a little bit more. If you need a little bit more, you're going to come onto your hands with extended arms. Really reach that heel outward. It's as if you're almost pigeon-toed, and bring those toes in. Create an arch though, if it's available. Create an arch. The outer part of your foot needs to be heavy on the mat. If it's up, you've gone too far. Bring your foot back in. That is your anchor. And breathe. Breathe into that inner thigh. Breathe into that ankle, outer ankle. Perhaps your body needs more. You can go ahead and lower to your elbows. If you're lowering to your elbows, both elbows need to be on the mat or on your towel. Otherwise, you stay with your hands, your arms extended, and breathe. Gently internally rotate that thigh internally towards the mat. You might feel a deeper sensation, and breathe. When the stretching is becoming intense, this is when when the breath really helps you to go deeper safely. If you're on your elbows, extend your arms, and then gently find your way up as we bring our knee back in. And here we are again. Extending the left leg out to the side. Toes are pointing outward, not facing me. And once again, that right hip is stacked above that knee. The toes are out. They could be a little diagonal, but they're certainly not facing me. And you're going to inhale that right arm up and letting that left arm just kind of rest. Inhale, reach, and exhale over. Inhale, exhale over to the left. Inhale and exhale. And we're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Really bringing that right shoulder back. Opening up our rib cage. Stretching our intercostal muscles, those muscles between your ribs. And breathe. And once again, what's going on with your neck? Are you holding tension? Release it by either looking down, looking forward, or if you want, you can look up. And breathe. And release. Bringing those toes towards me. And here, I didn't say it on the other side, but it's not as important if your hip is stacked. So you can go open, you can go a little bit deeper depending on your flexibility. And once again, the outer part of that foot is heavy to the mat. If it's up, like that, bring your foot in, because that's what's keeping us anchored. Once again, if this is enough, this is where you are. You should possibly feel a nice release in that outer part of that ankle or the inner thigh. Or you can join me in placing your hands onto the mat. Once again, did that foot come up? If it did, bring it back down. Create an arch. Creating that arch is going to help keep that foot heavy. And breathe. Make adjustments. Perhaps you can go a little bit deeper. Perhaps you can go onto your elbows. And once again, if you go onto your elbows, making sure that both elbows are on the mat. Otherwise, extend your arms again. And internally rotate that thigh towards the mat. Ooh, I felt that. Hoping you are too. And breathe. Breathe. As we release the hips, it's really important to address the quad, the inner, the hamstring, that outer hip. And we're going to address that throughout this class today. Breathe in. Are you holding your breath? Breathe. One more breath. Deep breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And ideally, you're inhaling and exhaling through your nose, which is that Ujjayi breath. And by the way, if you're shaking a little bit, that's quite all right. As we release and we come back up. And now I'm going to be facing this way. And this is when you're going to need your block. Or if you don't have a block, again, a towel or maybe even a book or something to give you some stability. And we're coming into child pose. Breathe in. One good breath, cleansing breath. Inhaling back to table. As you inhale, your left foot in front into a runner's lunge. So your block is here, ready, if you're going to need it. Really drawing that right hip towards the mat. Notice that my left knee is stacked above the ankle, keeping everything aligned. If your foot is this way, you're putting pressure on your knee and you're telling me that you can actually bring your foot out a little bit more. So make that adjustment. Curl the right toes and extend into that runner's lunge. And breathe, breathe. Drawing that right hip closer to the mat. Now, notice what I'm doing. If you're having problems with your wrist, I like to do fists because I do have problems with my wrist sometimes. Or if not, palms on your mat. Release that knee, that right knee down, using your block. And we're going to go into our hamstring stretch. The block is, use your block or your pillow or whatever you're using, maybe it's even a chair, to lift up a little bit. And really bring in that outer, that part of that left foot close to you. And bringing the toes towards you. And sitting up. And I am shifting in my right hip. That is not what I want to do. I want to be in line. And you're going to feel a deeper, a more effective stretch into that hamstring. And breathe. These are pretty intense stretches. Breathe. Perhaps you can release the block or your book or whatever, and now getting a little bit deeper in the stretch. As you bring that foot back into that lower, that lunge. Placing your hands onto that knee and coming up. Wow, we're getting into that hip flexor deeper now. And breathe. Notice my knee is still stacked on top of the ankle. Bring in alignment back. And breathe. Release it. Keep the foot, the toes heavy on the mat. Take your block with you. And bring your hips back for a nice stretch on the top of our ankle. That should feel really, really nice too. You might even feel it in your shin a little bit. So those toes are really, really heavy. Create an arch in that left foot. And breathe. How are we doing out there? Bring that knee back. Bring the toes back, into that hamstring stretch. Again, making adjustments. Are you shifted in that right hip? If you are, square your hips. And this is why the block or whatever you're using is important, because it really helps you to get that alignment that you need. As we inhale our torso, exhale coming down. Inhale, up. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, going deeper. And exhale down. Breathe in. As we release, placing the foot back down, we're back into our lunge. Placing your hands on the knee, and here we are. Once again, into really releasing that right hip flexor. As you inhale your right arm up, engage your core, and then the left arm, here we are. Shoulders are relaxed, yet your arms are nice and firm. Your gaze into the ceiling, or maybe your head, depending on what your neck feels like today. Bringing your hands together into prayer hands and bringing them to your heart. As you rotate, bringing that right elbow on the outer part of the knee. Now, the knee is going to want to cave in. Make sure that knee is in line with the toes for our first rotation of the day. As you gaze to the back of the room, now you're not hanging on to your thigh. You're lifted. Use your obliques. You're strong. Lots of energy in between your hands. Lots of energy. Breathe. Breathe in. As we release. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we'll speak a little louder. Just for a minute. As you place your hands
step out of the mat. And here we are in lizard posture. Really drawing that right hip down. Again, going deeper into our growing area. And breathe. This could probably be very intense. Depending on the health of your ankles, you can bring your foot onto the outer part of your foot. Feeling some good sensations there. And breathe. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can go onto your elbows. Now, if you choose to go onto your elbows, both elbows need to be leveled, aligned. If one elbow is higher than the other, extend your arms. For me, this is where I am. So breathe into this. Here we are, we're back. And breathe. If you're on your elbows, extend your arms. And begin walking that left foot into what I call a zigzag posture. Keep walking it in until we find ourselves. My back is kind of towards you, but we're into a zigzag position. Now this is the first modification. We're going to go into earth pose. But this is where you might be today. So perhaps you can see in the mirror, notice that my left foot is flexed, my right knee is bent, and my right foot is flexed as well. And I'm going to come onto my elbows. Perhaps you need to stay with your arms extended, or you can go onto your elbows. We're really addressing the outer part of that left hip and glute. If you're having any kind of sciatica issues or even lower back issues, these are great stretches, but they need to be, you must grow into them. If this is not enough for you, I encourage you to extend that right foot behind you, and then join me by squaring your hips onto the mat into earth pose. Curl the toes of your right foot and just gently walk your foot away, gently and safely, and then release. I'm not there to check your hips to see what's going on, but in your mind's eye, envision that both hips are leveled and square to the mat. Make those adjustments. Ideally, or depending, not even so much ideally, your shin could be really parallel to the mat. Just know that it can compromise the knee. So you're where you are, and breathe with this nice hip release and deeper hip flexor. If you want to continue, extend. You can extend your arms all the way and really melt into the floor, the mat, or your towel, and breathe. Or you can stay where I am, which is on your elbows. If you're on your elbows, making sure that they're pretty leveled, so we don't have one elbow ahead or the other. Always want to bring back alignment. And breathe. 2 more breaths. Big rounds of big breaths. Deep inhalation and even deeper exhalation. If your arms are fully extended, come back to your elbows. And then extend your arm into pigeon posture. And here we are. This might be a little, this is not available. You can keep your elbows down. As you bend that right leg, and you're going to just gently, with your right hand, grab that ankle for a quadricep stretch. Now, if this is not available for you, you can roll on your side, and then just grab your ankle again, and do your quadricep stretch that way. Otherwise, you can join me in releasing that right quadricep. Really press that knee into the mat, that's your anchor. Really opening up in that right shoulder as well, flexing that right foot. And breathe. Gently, but ever so gently, release the foot. And release back. And here we are. As you come up, let us sit into child pose. And what I'd like for you to do is notice your left hip compared to the right hip. It should feel a little bit different. As we inhale, back to table, have your block handy. And you're going to inhale that right foot in between your hands. And here we are at the other side to do. Once again, I'm on my fist because it helps me with my wrist, or your hands palms facing down. Really drawing that left hip towards the mat or your towel. Really being intentional about that. And breathe. Curling the left toes up. Really reaching. I didn't sit on the other side, but really reach to that heel, to the back of your room. And breathe. If this is too much, just bring the knee back down. 2 more breaths. This is when the breath really calms the mind, which in turn calms your body. Release that knee down. As we bring our hips back, have your block, or your book, or your pillow. And here we are into our hamstring stretch. Once again, the outer part of your foot, bring it towards you, and your toes are coming towards you. And breathe. Notice that I'm sitting up tall to avoid shifting too much into that left hip. Sitting up tall. Perhaps you don't need the block. Perhaps you're good just touching, holding onto the mat. And breathe. As we release back, that foot back onto the floor. Going back into our runner's lunge. Again, that knee is stacked above that ankle for safety. And you're placing your hands onto that knee. And here we are, really releasing in that left hip flexor. Hip flexors can be so tight. And breathe. And that tight hip flexor can really create pain in the back, the lower back. Breathe in as you release back. Keep the toes very heavy onto the mat as you shift your hips back for that nice stretch on the top part of our ankle. Oh, that feels really nice. Create a nice arch and the toes are heavy. And once again, we want to avoid shifting too much into that left hip. So make those adjustments, use your block if you need the leverage. And breathe above all. Breathe. Now bring your toes towards you into that hamstring stretch. Perhaps you can go a little bit deeper. Maybe, maybe not. Each side is different, and today is whatever day it is today, however your body's feeling. As you inhale, exhale your body down. Inhaling up. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. And then exhale down. And here we are. As you release your foot back onto the mat, placing your hands on your knee. As you inhale that left arm up, and then the right arm up, and here we are. Being mindful not to let that knee cave in. Use your strength, we're toning here. Shoulders are relaxed, yet your arms are strong. And breathe. Bring your hands together. Pray your hands and bring in your hands to heart center. As you place that left elbow on the outer part of that knee, making sure that that knee stays in track with the toes as you rotate. Gaze into the back of the room. Again, we're not leaning onto that thigh. We're lifted using the obliques. Lots of energy between your hands as you gaze back. Not sure if I said it on the other side, but you can curl your toes of the left foot and then lift up your knee if you wish. Or you can stay with me right here. One more breath. It's a little bit of a balance challenge here. As you release, very slowly, placing those hands inside of the right foot. I'm going to move the block out of the way. And you're walking that foot away from you, that right foot away to really create more openness. And once again, depending on how healthy your ankle is, you may come onto the side, the outer part of your foot. If you're not sure, stay with me, keeping the toes down. And once again, arms are extended. You know if you have the flexibility to go to your elbows at this point. If that's the case, making sure that both elbows are on the mat. If one is higher than the other, stay extended like I am. And breathe. Really drawing that left hip towards the mat. These are pretty intense. Breathe. Depending on the flexibility. If you're shaking, it's quite all right. You're not hurting anything, but not to the point of pain. Deep stretching, yes. And breathe. We're really letting that knee float out. And your body will take you there, depending on your flexibility. 2 more breaths. If you're on your elbows, extend your arms. And begin walking that right foot in. And this time, I'll be facing you. Kind of like into a zigzag position, which is what I call. So this is modification 1. This may be where you are. Either way, your left foot and your right foot are flexed. And you're hinging over, getting into that right hip. And breathe. And enjoying this nice stretch. Or if you wish to go a little bit deeper, you can stay right here. This is enough. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can extend the back leg. And then square your hips to the mat. And here we are, once again. Remembering, if you bring your shin parallel to the mat, top of the mat, just be mindful. You know if you can do it. If not, stay where a little bit less, so to not compromise your knee. And here we are into earth pose. Now you can stay here with the elbows as bent, or you can extend your arms forward. Be where you are. And once again, I am not able to come check your hips, but if you close your eyes and just try to visualize you're squaring so that that left hip is pretty balanced with the right one. So we're not, if it's available, if your body's not letting you, then it is what it is. But if it's allowing you, attempt to square those hips onto the mat and breathe. And if you're on your elbows, we're not just kind of hanging down. We're lifted. We're using our muscles. We're toning along the way, which puts less pressure on your joints. 2 more breaths. Ujjayi breath, which is calming, heat producing. Extending your arms, if it's available, to pigeon postures. A little bit of, if this is too much on your lower back, come back to your elbows. Otherwise, join me, bending that left leg, and gently grabbing that ankle, flexing the foot to stretch that quadricep. Now, I'm going to show you that modification again. If that's too intense, you can just get onto your right hip, grab your left ankle, and here we are. You can still also open up in that shoulder. You're getting the same benefit, but it's not as intense. Breathe, releasing that quadricep. And breathe. Gently release it. Gently release it. And coming onto table posture again. As we sit into child pose. Noticing hopefully an openness in that right hip as well. Open up your knees, sitting up a little bit. Open up your knees, mat width distance for child pose. And really reach your arms, walking your fingers away to release. We've been on our knees a lot, or just maybe a little bit of tension in your shoulders. We want to release that. You can place your forehead onto the mat at this point and just breathe. As you inhale, the right arm up, really reach up, and then exhale it as you thread it under that left arm for a nice rotation. Gently placing your head, and really bringing that right arm closer to me for a nice rotation. And release of that right shoulder blade. If you want a little bit deeper rotation, you can take your left fingers and just walk them over to the right side of your mat. You might not be able to gaze to the ceiling a little bit. Maybe not. And breathe. Nice and open in our hips. Breathe. As you release, coming back into child pose. Inhale the left arm up and thread it under the right arm. And now I'm looking away from you, but I see you. Walking those right fingers away from you. Walk, really extending that left hand towards me or the other side that you're on. Taking those right fingers and walking them to the left side of the mat for deeper rotation. And release back to child pose. As you walk your hands towards your knees, bring your knees in, hip distance. And we're going to come into puppy pose. So your hips, you'll notice that your hips are to the ceiling. And they're stacked basically above in line with your elbows. And you're going to open up wide, your elbows wide. Excuse me. There we go. You're going to open up wide and let your forehead come down. Really open up your elbows wide to release in your chest. Puppy pose. And breathe. Maybe you can bring your elbows out a little bit more. Feeling a nice release perhaps under your underarm. 2 more breaths. Bringing those elbows in. Bringing those elbows in. And bringing your hips onto your heels in Vajrasana. Vajrasana. Here we are. This is pretty intense, but it's a nice stretch for your knees. Sitting up tall. And you're going to shift to one hip. Whichever side, and I'm going to come back facing you as we sit into Sukhasana. Comfortable seated posture. And if you have your strap, you're going to need it now. As you're sitting in Sukhasana, turn off your hip flexor. They want to engage. Now, I'm going to come back to facing you. But if you find that in this posture, you're sitting, you're kind of rounded, use your block or towel to sit on. The idea is to bring your hips towards the mat, which will help lengthen your spine. You're hinging, or as we're not going to be hinging, but the idea is that we're just releasing right where the hip is. So if we're rounded, we want to be lifted up, but yet turning off the hip flexor. And so here we are. Taking your strap, and you're going to place it on your left shoulder. This is to prepare for Gomukhasana. So your strap is there. Now place your right knee on top of your other leg. So if this is not available, ideally my knee should be stacked on top of the other knee, but this is where I am. If this is too intense, go back to Sukhasana. Otherwise, join me in really going deeper into the outer hip. Bring in your feet, flexing your feet, and making them somewhat parallel to each other. Take your hands, lift up your hips to make sure both hips are on the mat. So here we are. Should feel a deeper stretch into that right hip, maybe both. And so we have the strap on that left shoulder as you inhale your left arm, bend that elbow, and let's do a tricep stretch here. So we're stretching out that left tricep, and you're grabbing the strap while you're at it. Release, extending your right arm to the side, thumb facing down. And you're going to bind it behind you, grabbing the strap. And here we are in Gomukhasana. It's a pretty intense stretch for the shoulder. Ideally, your fingers are grabbing each other. Or, that is while we have the strap to help us achieve the posture. And breathe. So whether you are in Sukhasana, we'd like for you to hinge forward. Remember, we're not rounding our back. We're hinging at the hips, going deeper and deeper. Hope you're doing well out there. This is pretty intense. Coming back to center. Very carefully and mindfully releasing that right arm first, and then the other arm. And let's see if we can do this. Place, we're going to turn around. place your hands on the mat. Lift your hips up. Take your right hand. Pivot, 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 pivot. And here we are. How did you do? Either way, you want to be on the other side. Once again, if this is too intense for you, having our knees stacked, go back to the Sukhasana, comfortable seated posture. And remember, we're flexing our feet to protect our knees. Lift in, just gently use your hand to lift your hips up, just to kind of help realign your spine here. And here we are. And you notice there are just some discrepancies in our hips, so one side's going to feel better than the other, or maybe let you go deeper, and that's quite all right. Taking a strap, place it on the right shoulder, so we're ready. So we got a lot going on, the hips, and we're going to inhale the right arm, tricep stretch. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Grabbing the strap with your hand, releasing that left arm to the side of you, thumb facing down. As you bind it behind your back, and you grab the strap. Grab the strap. Now, ideally, the elbow should be to the ceiling, but my body won't let me do that. So I really shouldn't say ideally because we're all made differently. But if you can, assist. And here we are. Opening up in that left shoulder. And breathe. Now, I didn't say it on the other side, but we have a tendency when we've got the tricep stretch going on to stick our chin up. Bring it in, micro tuck, and breathe. And hinging forward, hinging forward. If that's too much, just stay where you are and breathe. And release, releasing that left arm very gently, releasing, and here we are. I'm going to be facing this side now. Extending your legs forward, shake your legs out, shaking your legs out. If you have your strap, this might come in handy. One last stretch. As we inhale, your arms up, and you exhale, hinging forward. This is pretty intense. Notice that my spine is lengthened. Once again, we want to avoid rounding. So it's extending your spine. So if this is where you are, this is where you are. Your strap, your towel, or your scarf is available to you to help assist keeping your spine lengthened. Vision, I have a string in the crown of your head, and I'm still reaching you towards the ceiling as you hinge forward. And breathe. And release. Release. Moving the strap out of your way. Bringing your hips down a little bit. Placing your feet onto the mat. Engaging your core as you begin lowering yourself onto the mat. Very slowly. You can use the back of your thighs to assist. And when you get there, draw your knees into the chest. And you can just draw a few circles on the ceiling, releasing that lower back, or massaging that lower back. And the other direction. Other direction. Draw your knees into your chest. Cup your kneecaps. Engage your core and bring your knees away from you. Engaging your core, getting a nice stretch in the front of our shoulder. A little bit more. And breathe. posture. Now you can do this twist. We're going to do a twist with your knees up, or if you prefer having your feet down. I prefer having my feet down, so you decide. Either way, bring your feet together, engage your core, and on an exhalation, let your knees float over to the left. Attempting to keep both shoulders heavy onto the mat. You might feel a nice release too in your chest muscle, pectoral muscle. Engage your core as you inhale your knees up, and then exhale, letting them float to the other side. And the idea is to possibly stack your hips. So your left hip is stacked on top of your right. Inhale, engaging your core. Drawing your knees into your chest. Extending your legs onto the mat. Palms are facing up. Your feet or your toes are just sort of splaying open, or whatever's most comfortable for you. If being on your back is not comfortable because of your lower back, you can always bend your knees, mat width distance, and let your knees come in together. Or you can also go into Baddha Konasana, Supta Baddha Konasana, with letting your knees open up. You decide. Either way, we're entering into final relaxation, Shavasana. As you begin finding tension in your body, perhaps it's in your glutes. We have a tendency of just holding on tight into our glutes. Relax. If it's in your lower back, make that adjustment or even put in a bolster underneath your knees to release that. And your palms are facing up. Perhaps you can bring your shoulders in a little bit closer. Opening up in your heart, you might find a little bit more comfortable. Release your lower jaw. Closing your eyes, letting them be heavy, and releasing any tension that you may have, not only in your body, but in your mind. It's a beautiful day, beautiful sunshine. Day to be grateful, thankful for what we have. This is Shavasana. Awaken your breath, awaken your feet, take care of your toes and your fingers. Drawing your knees into your chest, taking your time. And when you're ready, you can roll over to your right side of your body. Using your left hand just to kind of assist you up very slowly back into Sukhasana. Inhale your arms up, bringing your hands together, prayer hands to heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. Miss you. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful